On the elegant surface, it's a reflection of an age come and gone. There is a stillness, a serenity to this grand old place, and something else too. The sound of music that stirs the souls who now live here. One of them belongs to 100-year-old Betty Hinchliffe.
The worst thing about being this old is your weakness. I can't describe it, but you can't do very much, and it's pretty frustrating at times. And hearing this wonderful music well performed by promising young people is just very exciting. It's almost like a shot of adrenaline.
Music brings life to this place for the aging. Judson Manor used to be a luxury hotel built in the 1920s. Now it's an extraordinary retirement community in Cleveland. Here, the young serenade the old in gracious spaces, spaces they all share. This is home to all of them.
It's funny when I tell my friends who I don't go to the Cleveland Institute of Music that I live in a retirement home. They usually think I'm joking, and then I explain it. And some of them think that it's neat. Some of them are a little surprised. But once I explain it, they think it sounds like an amazing experience.
Justine Myers is a 23-year-old graduate student at the nearby Cleveland Institute of Music. She's one of 3 music students who live here. In exchange for a stately apartment, Justine and the others perform for residents every chance they get.
Judson feels like an extension of my family, and it's like I have a lot of extra grandparents. Everyone here really, I think, supports the students, and they want us to do well. They get excited when we get extra opportunities to perform.
A board member came up with the idea to fill this place with music 5 years ago as a way to deal with a shortage of student housing. It would be a cultural experiment in intergenerational living.
I was a little uneasy and not as optimistic as some, and I said, okay, well, do I want to be a VP and a dorm RA at the same time?
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Where are you headed?
John Jones runs Judson Manor. Wild parties weren't his only concern. He worried how students would fit in with residents.
Are they the right fit for this community? And it's a very diverse community. Age range, sexual orientation, couples, single folks, and their abilities. So I think that what is the match, and are they doing this for the right reason? Do they really have a genuine interest in integrating within our community? We just don't want this just to be,
free apartment.
A free apartment, for the rest of their school time.
Well, do you know the clarinet player Daniel McKelway in the Cleveland Orchestra?
Of course.
After all, the students would be sharing space and often a morning coffee with people decades older. But there was common ground already.
Well, I was in a marching band when I was in high school.
Many residents here have artistic backgrounds, or like Margaret Mitchell, simply love music and simply loved the idea of young people playing it.
What do you like about having young people around?
Oh, that's where life is. Well, just look at them. Their smiles, they're sparkly eyes, yes. And they're the future.
Music here is a bridge where the future and the past often pause to meet. On this late afternoon, 25-year-old Daniel Parvin has brought in some friends to put on a jazz recital. The room is filled with an unspoken connection.
We bring our friendship here and the music together, and those go just hand in hand together. Hello, Mrs. Connell.
Oh, hi, Dan.
With his courtly manners,
I recognize your shirt.
Daniel is a favorite with the ladies. In the 3 years he's lived here, he's become especially close to 91-year-old Peggy Kennel. The shirt he's wearing belonged to her late husband.
It's a little bit different from interacting with all the other 20-year-olds at school, which I see all the time there. And so I try to project my voice and enunciate clearly. I'm writing on narrative in Schubert's.
Peggy is a little hard of hearing. Daniel does have to speak louder, but there's an ease to their conversation that comes with living here.
I really value them as persons and as people to look up to and learn from. It's crazy to think, as I talk with the centenarians here and people who are in their 60s and up, that they've lived 4 of my lifetimes, some of them, and they have all that experience that I can ask them about.
And this is when he wore a lot because
When they're not sharing a meal, Daniel often stops for a visit. Peggy is still going through her husband's belongings. She still wants Daniel to have more.
what's interesting about this place is the mixture of people and reaching out to people and
Yes.
and it's wonderful to have younger people. It makes us feel younger.
Oh, sure. Well, we get along well.
Yeah.
We've had good experiences the past 3 years already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's been a two-way street.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I hope you feel that.
Yeah,
way.
certainly. Yes, it's been life-changing.
Life-changing. Because no one expected what would blossom. No one could imagine how music and its graceful invitation would alter all of them. When they're not performing, the students also practice here. They're rarely alone.
It's really nice. Most of the time. Sometimes it's embarrassing if I feel like I don't sound what I want to sound like.
Well, at school we have very bare practice rooms, cement walls, and very small kind of cubicle-like places. So it's great to be able to have a beautiful space and also to have some audience members sometimes too. Residents will come listen in, which is also great.
We'll put this in for me.
That audience is much more than a loyal fan base to Tiffany Tew.
Set that down.
Yes.
Sprinkle those olives over that.
Tiffany is
and that will
25.
make a really
Laura
pretty
Barrick is 79. They're generations apart, but their friendship was instant. They bonded over a mutual love of cooking.
What's been the most striking thing about living here?
Being here is a perfect example of how music can really be a vital, integral part of a community and how you can use music to make a difference, to make connections with people, to form relationships.
Oh, I can't wait to eat this. Bon appetit.
Tiffany is from Georgia. In the past 2 years she's been here, she's never felt lonely, surrounded by a sense of family and people who just adore her.
In Yiddish, there is a word called kvel. I kvel over Tiffany. She's just yummy, and I'm so proud of her.
Oh, thank you.
And she has such a good spirit. You know, it doesn't get her down. Sometimes things just don't go the way you wish for. That's what happens. And she's very helpful and comforting to me. I'm telling you, she is like my very own. Oh, hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how
Good
are
to
you
see you.
doing? It's good to see you.
To honor the friendships here, Tiffany is photographing all the residents for a book she's putting together.
1, 2, 3.
It's a way to keep this extraordinary story alive. Betty just moved to Judson Manor, and already she's part of it.
We become isolated, the young as well as the old. And it's happy for us to have younger people around.
Just across the hall, Justine has found a sense of belonging too.
How are you? Good. I love interacting with the residents, and it's so nice to be able to practice here and to live here and have a family. When my family is from Alaska, so they're pretty far away, so it's nice to have a family here.
For a stroke like this, you would go just like.
Nearly 20 years ago, after a long career in teaching, Joe Steinhurst picked up a brush and started to paint.
That cat is one stroke. That is not easy. Very good.
Justine often comes over. It's a reprieve from the constant pressures of school.
It's lovely. It's who wants to be surrounded by everybody the same. It's. I think it's very good both ways.
Yes, Joe used to teach at Harvard.
You don't have to pump me up there.
Friendship, music, they are inseparable companions. And after a century of living, Betty doesn't yearn for anything less.
It's very fundamental. I'm not really very religious in the formal sense of the word. I find the good performance of classical music is a proof of immortality, if you want it right there.
And proof, too, of how timeless the tempo of life really is. Joanna Rumiliotis, CBC News, Cleveland.